Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. This video is about table joins, how to join tables together. So far all the statements that we have done are from one table, almost from one table, but the database mostly does not contain only one table. It contains more than one table. It could be 2 tables, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15. It depends on the company size. We have explained the concept of primary key and foreign key before, and I think you guys understand it very well. And the primary key is the unique identifier for the entire record of the table. So for example, here if I said describe department table, I would see that this field here is a primary key. So this field, department number, is a unique identifier for the entire record for this table. If you describe the employee table, also we can see that this employee number is a primary key for this employee table. So if you select all from department, you will see that all departments are unique. So this 10, 30, 20, 40. So if I would like to add one more department here, it should be one not included here. It could be 50, 60 or 70, but not repeating this, because you can see that if I try to insert into department table values, and then I put, for example, 10, and then I put any department name like IT, for example, located in Jubail, for example. I would like to put this new field. So what do I get here? I get that unique constraint violated. Why? Because here I have this 10 as repeated in the table, as I have seen in my query earlier, that this 10 is already available here on this table. Okay. Now you know the concept of primary key, foreign key. We use this concept to join tables because now this is a primary key, but it exists on another table, on the employee table, as a foreign key. If you see here, this department number appears 14 times because I have 14 employees in this table. But 20 is repeated, 10 is repeated, 30 is repeated. Each one is repeated many times because we have employees working in these departments, more than one employee working in the department. So the relationship is one to many. One to many in the sense that one department has many employees, or many employees work in a specific department, and so on. So this concept can be explained from this screenshot from the table descriptions. Now if you look at this department number here, you will see that department number is a primary key here, but it exists here as a foreign key. So we would like to join the tables together through this primary key, foreign key. So this table is joined together through this relationship here, from department number in the department table to department number from the employee table. If we don't have these joins between the two tables, then there will be inaccurate result. So for example, I would like to select data from two tables. I would like to select department number and employee name, or department name and employee name. I would like to see who is working where, which employee is working in which department. So which employee is working in which department? I need the employee name from here, and I need department name from here. So how do I work it out? If I said select employee name and department name from employee and department, this will give me 56 record, which is a Cartesian product. So let me try it here. If you say, for example, select employee name and then department name from department from employee and department. It doesn't matter here which one you put first. If you put department or employee, the same thing. But why it give me 56? 56, as we explained it in a previous lecture, that is 14 multiplied by 4. 14 multiplied by 4 is 46, which is the number of sets in one query multiplied by the number of sets in another query. So this will give me 56 different records, that like it shows everybody working everywhere. You will see Ward is working in accounting, Ward is working in sales, he is working in research, he is working in operation, and so forth. So you have to specify a relationship using a where clause. Like where what? Use a foreign key, primary key, foreign key relationship. So you use where department dot what? Dot department number. Equal what? Equal employee dot department number. That means you would like to say that the department number in the employee table is the same as department number in the department table, in which you will get only 14 records. These 14 records that everybody is working in that specific department. So this is how we join tables through the primary key foreign key relationship using the where clause. Also we can join using the word join, J-O-I-N. Also we can join using the operator in, I-N, in which we will explain it in a different lesson. But now I would like to talk about what we call table alias. So this department, instead of department spelled out, you can use only D. And this employee, instead of employee spelled out, you can use E. Given that, you create a table alias for this here in this from clause. In the from clause, you would like to say, okay, I would like to use E here instead of emp, and I would like to use D instead of department. So I can say that where D, instead of using emp, I use D, which is department number. Let me just put this one in this side so that doesn't confuse you. Here, like that. So here, because since I used employee first, then let me just use E first here, and then remove this equal sign from here. So this statement says where E, which is I use E here for the table employee, E dot department number equal D. What is D? D is I use it a table alias. Table alias is used here just to make the table short instead of sometimes the table is very long table, and you might create a mistake or make a mistake when you try to type in the whole name of that table. But here if you use D only, it will be short, and then this one will work the same thing as you could see. However, what happens if I put department number here? If I put department number, this will give me an error message. It will tell me that this department number is ambiguously defined in your statement. So here, let me just execute this statement one more time. The column is ambiguously defined. Why? Because department number is actually complaining about this department number. It says ambiguously defined. Ambiguously defined means not clear. Not clear from which table do you want this department number to appear. Do you want to have it from the employee name or employee table, or from the department table? If you like to put from the department table, which doesn't make any difference, it will put D here, which is only 14 records, as you can see. Or you can see E also. It will give you the 14 records, the same thing. But you have to specify table alias if you include that. If you include in your statement, in your select list, the field that is common between the two tables. So this is basically how to join table together. So using what we call a primary key foreign key relationship, because this one here, this one is a primary key for this table. It's a primary key, and this one here is a foreign key, FK. Okay, let me give another example. Let me use, for example, table student and zip code. because I have, if you describe student, you will see that the student has zip, which is it's actually a foreign key. Why? Because there is a table also called zip code, in which you will see that the column zip is a primary key. So here it is a primary key. Here is a primary key, but in student describe student, again you'll see this one exists here as a foreign. How many records in each one? So if you select all from zip code, you will see that I have I think more than 100. Let me just include more than 100 here and see how many. 227 227 different addresses. We have zip code, city, state, and the other fields, and 227. And then here select all from student. Okay, you'll see that here I have how many students? 268. So using calculator to multiply 227 multiplied by 268, 60,000 something. If I don't use a join, I will get 60,000 different combination of information. If I would like to join the table together without providing a join condition through the while clause, 60,000 something. So for example, if I would like to select first name and then last name and then city, and then also city is not in this student table, city in the another table, it is in the zip code table, which is but this student has student ID, salutation, Mr. or Mrs. whatever, first name, last name, street address, registration date, employee, and so on. So if I like to include, for example, state, so these two fields from the zip code table, these two fields from student table. So I should mention here in my from clause from student S as an alias, and zip code Z. Via what? Via Z dot zip, which is a primary key, equal S dot zip, which is a foreign key for that. So let me just cut this one for now and try to run my operation. And if you look at the number of records earlier, I use my calculator to show you that I have how many 60,000 something, right? Okay, let me just run this operation and see how many records I'm gonna get. I think my query will show you. Okay, it's actually it's taking so much time because there's 60,000 records. You're gonna be 60,000 records for this statement, and I hope it doesn't break because it's just too much to display 60,000 record here on this. 60,000 something, 60,836 as I mentioned in my calculator earlier. So how do we get only the number of students in the table, exact number of students in that table? We have to join this. By the way, this is called Cartesian product. Cartesian product is the number of records in one table multiplied by the number of records in the other table, which is not required. It is not desirable situation in database at all. So here, this is the correct statement in which only 268 students with their last name, city, and state has been displayed. So this is basically the joining situation. If you like to include zip, again it will give you an error message that column ambiguously defined, and column ambiguously defined is because you have to provide an alias since you created an alias for those tables. Here you can use Z or you can use S, but this one will work in all cases. If you provide an alias, you have to use that alias. If you have more than one table, if you have like 3 tables for example, still you have to include for example, you have to use enrollment table, enrollment E, but you have to use to see the relationship between enrollment and student. So if you like to see the enrollment, describe enrollment table. Okay, let me just describe enrollment table and see this table enrollment. The primary key is these two together, student ID and section ID, in which both of them they provide, as you could see here, they have multiple keys. So this is primary key number 1, this is primary key number 2. That means student ID and section ID is what is called common key, which is composite key between them. So my previous statement, you have to use enrollment, but you have to use student ID in enrollment is the same as student ID in student. So in this question you have to have use and assume that I have to include one field from this table, which is say enroll date. I would like to get enroll date displayed from this table, enroll date. So what do I use? From student S, zip code Z, enrollment E. So I have 3 tables. So I have 2 joining conditions. Via Z.zip equal S.zip, and S dot what? S.zip also equal E dot zip. That means enrollment, the zip code in enrollment is the same as zip code in that table. E dot zip S dot zip equal enrollment E dot zip. Let me just describe that table again. Describe enrollment. One more time. Sorry, enrollment, it doesn't have zip, it does have a student ID. I'm sorry, I use student ID instead of zip. There is no zip in the enrollment table. That was my mistake. Let me just S dot student ID is student ID. This is the common field between them, equal E dot student ID. This is the joining condition. So student ID in enrollment is the same as student ID in a student. That's what it should have. So now you should get the same number of record 226 students with data selected from 3 different tables. So this data selected from student, this data selected from these 2 selected from zip code, and enrollment date only selected from zip code table. So if you have like 3 tables, you have 2 joining conditions. If you have 4 tables, you have 3 joining conditions. Yani the number of joining condition is the number of the tables involved in the query minus 1. That is the rule for this. We will do some example using these joins in one video that I have or PowerPoint I have uploaded called queries, SQL queries, subqueries, in which we're going to use in as well as an operator to join to join tables. Okay, so this video is basically about joining table. Another video will be about subqueries.